Hey, it's Jeremy here, and today I have a stylescape tutorial for you guys. I know you guys love stylescapes and you want to learn more about it, and I've been using them in my own projects and with client projects as well, and I've seen a lot of changes and it's really working and I really love doing it. So I want to quickly show you guys how to do it real quick. And the main thing about stylescapes is it's not just like a mood board, but it's a more detailed mood board, and it's a good starting point and reference point for before you start any project design. And it's always good in the early stages of presenting it to your client before you go into the identity and branding and logos and all that stuff. The main core elements of a stylescape is that you get some, imagery of, backgrounds of people. You get colors, fonts, patterns, packaging designs, stationery, branding, mock-ups, all that stuff, even layouts. And you want to have a person of your brand personas, of your users that's part of your target market, and that's the core elements that we use. For the sizing of the stylescape, you can see the sizing here is 56 by 11 inches or 56 by 10.5. It doesn't have to be exact, but if you're going to print it, keep in mind you might need a certain specified size, but that's totally cool. Another way to do it is I just used 1080p. So you can see if I half this, it's just two 1920 by 1080p slides together. So this one's a bit more, got a bit more height on it. Instead of this one here, it's more longer. So if you don't like this length, and maybe you're just presenting online and not printing it, then you can just use this size if you want, because it's easy to save and upload to social and stuff like that. So I'm just gonna delete that. And you can see here, one of the key elements as well of stylescapes is working with different layouts. And you have to, the key element is that you have to have a flow to it. If there's no flow to the stylescape, it's not going to work well, and you might lose the client. When the client's viewing it, you might lose their attention, or it might not sit right with them, and it all has to come together and be consistent. So you can see here, I've just quickly put together three pretty rough layouts. You can see I'm just using boxes and squares to get sort of like a grid happening, some columns, even adding circles here, and I'm just visualizing what type of elements I'm going to put. But you can always mix it up and play around, and you can break the grid. That's totally cool. So you can see here, that's totally fine. And now what I'm just going to pick one. So I'm going to pick this bottom one here, and you can see I've already copied it. So for this one, we're going to be doing a coffee shop, and I wrote down some items or descriptions of what my target audience is. Obviously, this is not for a real client project. It's just for practice. So I'm going for architects, people that are maybe artists, or they're more cultured. They value handmade stuff, and it's really contemporary, minimal, very modern type of vibe. And maybe it's businessmen that work around in the richer areas, maybe near the beach or near the city, something like that. So I'm thinking in that aspect. And so what I'm going to do, I'm going to use some of these keywords to search up some images. And the first thing, after I've chosen my layout, what I'm going to do is go to Unsplash. And I also use Pinterest, Google, and Dribble, and some other sites. But these are my core sites I look for. And usually I'll try and start to look for my user or my target audience. So I'll try and find a clean image of what I'm trying to look for. So maybe I'll type in male, and start to look at some images to see if there's someone that fits the bill, fits what we're trying to design for, who we're trying to design for. And obviously this is sort of my process, but hopefully it helps you guys start to learn to create stylescapes better. So I'll just go through and I'll just start looking for images. And if I find some images that I like, I'll just cut it out. And with stylescapes, you don't want to take too long, but you do want to put effort and time into it so you get it right, because this is going to determine the look and feel that you're going for. So, I'll just get some images. If I can't find any more, then I'll just use the ones that I have. So I'll jump into Photoshop. So I'll drag and drop the image that I liked. So you can see I kind of like this one. He looks like type of the target audience that we're going for. So what I'm going to do is start to cut him out. So I'll go to my layers panel and click off that, and I'll go to select and go selected mask. And then what I'll do, I'll start to select his body out so we can cut out the background, because we don't want the background. But if you find this process hard, then you know, you can leave the background if you want. I'm just holding Alt and minusing the areas that I don't want, and just clicking on the areas that I want to add. And you can see Photoshop does a good job of like wiping it out. So you can look at the transparent pixels here. You can see if I change the view, you can see what it's looking like here. You can always adjust these parameters on the side as well. If you want a bit of a feather and smoothness, maybe you want the radius, that's okay. I tend to like leave it and not play with it too much. And you can press the left square bracket and right square bracket to minus that. So I'll quickly cut this guy out, and then we'll jump back into finding some other images. So after I've cut out my user here, what I'm gonna do is just go and save it. So I'll go File and usually Export and go Export As, or Save for Web is fine. And you can see with Unsplash they have free high-res images, so you can use those images freely. And what I'm gonna do, I don't want to save it too big, so I'll maybe change the percentage to like 50%, and then quality can be 85%. But also I can go to PNG 24. So if it's JPEG, you'll be able to put the quality, but if it's just PNG, we want to save it as a transparent image. But you can see there's a square there, so I'm just going to quickly crop this image just to make it smaller. So I'll crop it, and I'll do the same thing again, and I'll go PNG 24 so we can make it transparent. And then percentage, I can go 50%, I'll save it. And I'll locate my file. Cool. See, I've dropped him in there so you can see he's cut out. It doesn't matter if the edges are not perfect and all that, that's totally cool. The client won't really notice if it's like really finer details. So cool, we have our guy here, and now I'm gonna continue to look up some inspiration and continue. So I'll go to Pinterest, I'll go coffee, minimal design, and I'll start to look at some vibes. Cool, this looks pretty cool. And I can literally, it's easy because I can copy. Obviously you can save the image and put it in the folder, but because it's going to be quick, I'm just going to do copy image and I can just paste it. And what I like to do is use these boxes now and create clipping masks, so I can bring this to the back by going Object Arrange, Send to the back. And the shortcut keys, you can see it's Control Shift left square bracket or right square bracket on the keyboard to bring it up and down there. And then what I'll do, I'll select the square here and the image, go Object, Clipping Mask, Make. You can see the shortcut key is Control 7. And then if I use the direct selection tool, I can click inside and start to drop it in. So I have other tutorials on how to do this stuff, so I want to focus mainly on the stylescape. So you can see I can do that. So I'm starting to build this out, starting to get some imagery. So I'm using keywords, I'm typing in things that come to mind, and I'm always thinking of my target audience and the brand that I'm designing for. So I'm looking at architecture, I'm looking at patterns, textures, logos. I also, want that minimal feel, but also the feeling of handmade. And handmade doesn't have to mean vintage or rustic, it can mean texture. So if I type in maybe handmade texture or artisan texture, or maybe I can type in, see, sometimes when you type in Pinterest, you don't find what you need. So that's kind of nice. It's got like a bit of wood, but it's like nice and subtle. It's not too like sharp. can put this like here. And I can always overlay things on top and stuff, and I'll start adding logos and playing around. So if I just Alt Tab, so I'm like always asking questions, how can I relate it? How can I keep it like, you know, handmade but get the feeling of modern? So that's when I can think of like maybe an icon, or you know, hand-drawn icons, or a logo mark, or a badge style. So that's coming together like this. You can see I can do a box, and I'll just drop that in. And a cool trick I like to do is that I'll get some colors. So I'll go to my color library here. Maybe I like these, you know, brown tones. So I'll color that, and what I'll do, I'll go to my transparency panel, and I'll go to multiply the blending mode, and you can see here it adds a bit of color to the wood. I can also maybe go to color burn, you know, play around with the different stuff. Hard light is nice too, but usually I go multiply. Hard light is okay too, so you can see it's a nice color. Maybe I want to put a logo on top of here, so I'm just gonna call it George's Coffee Co. I'm just gonna keep it really simple. So I want to make this white, and then maybe make a quick like logo. And it doesn't have to be exact, but if you know, do the work up front, then you don't have to do as much work later when you're doing the actual designs. So maybe I'll leave that out. What if I put and I can probably play around with the fonts here. So I'm gonna go for like this font. Maybe Holtzman textured. Yeah, cool. So this is looking good. This one will just be rounded. I can place it over this texture, and that's like one example of what I would do. So I'm combining elements, and I'm not just chucking, like I'm using the imagery and applying some elements that I would use in the actual identity design, as you can see there. And you know, I can do the same for these ones as well. I could add some hand-drawn elements, like whatever it is. So I really like Pinterest. I can always go back to Unsplash and search stuff. Modern house. Branding. So if you're stuck trying to find some images, you can always go on Unsplash and find some stuff. So if I go coffee, you can see it's all got these nice coffee images that we can use as like a backdrop. So this looks nice. See, it's got some wood, it's modern, it's clean. See, they got that layout is really clean. So I like that. You can download that one. And I'll just drop this in. So you can see I'm just using some imagery. I think I want to put this one over here. Like that. And the cups. Maybe I can move the cups to over here. Bring it out of that clipping mask. Cool, that's looking nice. And then maybe here I want to add some of the palette. So what I can do, I can draw on some of these colors here. Because it's minimal, we don't want too many colors. So you can see some of these darker colors, looks good. You can always zoom in and see there's plenty of colors we can draw from. Maybe then a touch of like this nice like orangey sunny color, but it's not too orangey, like it's got some nice cream tones in it, and we can always drop it down to get that vibe. Maybe this. Cool, might switch this. So you can see we're starting to have a flow to it. It's looking good, it's looking nice. It's quite like minimal stationary design. You can see on Unsplash it doesn't really have it. It's got a lot of images, but it doesn't have actual design stuff. So if I go here, so you always want to curate, and you want to select images that are highly curated. I'm not just picking anything, like I'm looking for a certain style and I'm selecting it. And sometimes what I like to do is put a box, instead of going into Photoshop just to save time, I can just drop a box over here. I'll go to my transparency panel and I'll go to color, and you can see there the color changes it. You can also go to hue as well, but obviously it's better to go in Photoshop and change it properly. So maybe I just want it desaturated, so that's cool. So that works there, because I don't want it to clash with this color I have here. As you can see that. And then maybe you want to have some like typography. So you can see a lot of these fonts, you know, some it's a mix of like serif and sans serif, as you can see there. And then this one is more like for a younger audience, this one, but it's still got the artisan feel, but still clean and simple. So you know, I can play around with the fonts. Now I can just use the type toolkit here to filter through different ones. So cool, there you have it. You can see we have our stylescape now. And obviously if we spend a lot of time, we could play around and work around with it and just slightly adjust things there. If you don't like it, you can always just edit things. Kind of like it, it's really cool. So what I'll do, I'll save it. And then what I'll do is I'll save it as a PDF. So what I want to do is go File, Save As. And then what I'm going to do, once I've located my file, I'll go to Save As Type, click on the drop down menu, press PDF. And you can see we don't want all of them, we just want our last artboard there. Press Save, go PDF, make sure you name it good, so version 1, and then you put the date, so it's the 12th of the 7/19, something like that, and your client's name at the front. I'll press Save. And then what I'm going to do is I have a preset called Digital. The Illustrator comes with the default called smaller size. And you can see there you want to have these boxes ticked, optimize for fast web, and make sure the other ones are unticked because you want to make sure that it's easy to load up. And if you're going to send it to your client, that they'll be able to open it up. You don't want the file too big. And you can see the compression here, it's all low, but on my setting digital, you can see I've got all the JPEGs to maximum. And you can see here the sizing is still going to be good. So general, I got that ticked. Compression, it says do not downsample, and it's on JPEG. It's not on compression. It's not on zip or anything. So it's going to keep the quality. The bleed settings, we don't need the bleed on, and everything else is fine. So I'll go Save PDF, and there you go. Boom. And now I have a PDF. Super cool. You can go View up the top corner, and you can go full screen mode, Control L. And then what I'll do is that you can press Control Plus, or if it's on your Mac, you can go Command Plus or whatever, and actually walk your client through it. And I can press Space Bar and slowly talk them through it as and I can scroll through it like that. Really easy. And if I press Escape, it will exit that. And then what I can do is go on the side here, and I can actually click on comments. So after the presentation, I can go through here and add comments. So I can start to add things. So if I can click on this little thing on the top here, and then what I'll do is click on here and then add a comment. So client likes wood texture, something like that. And I can add other ones. I can minimize that. Maybe I want to add another one. This badge style logo. So I can start to put things that resonate with the client and the presentation, and so I can remember for later. So I can always come back here and check my, what notes, what things stood out, etc. So yeah, thanks guys for watching. Really hope this tutorial was helpful on how to create a stylescape. And this is just, one way of doing it. But the best way is to practice, take action, and actually start doing it yourself, and combining some of those elements and all that cool stuff. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed it. Look forward to creating maybe another one down the road. Just let me know in the comments if you like this stuff, and hit that like button, hit subscribe, and also click the bell for notifications on when I upload new content. So yeah, hope you guys have an awesome week, and see you next time.